It's been over a month since March Madness, the G League Ignite, and Overtime Elite seasons have come to a close, which means it's officially time for the fourth installment of the NBA mock draft. This list has changed significantly since the last mock draft, and some new players will be featured. This mock draft will include the full first round, picks 1 through 30, like requested. Some players have maintained their positions as expected, while others have fallen down the boards. This mock draft order is based on the current team standings, but I have made some tweaks to make it a little more interesting. What's going on, guys? BucketMedia back with another video, and today I'm presenting my 2023 NBA Mock Draft 4.0. Check the link in my description or pinned comment to find some exclusive on-sale deals for NBA gear up to 60% off. It would mean so much to help support my channel. If you have any video suggestions or requests, please drop a comment and I'll create it. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe. It's by far the best way to support this channel and ensure you don't miss out on any great basketball content like this. Also, like the video and comment on what you think about each team selection. With that being said, let's dive straight into the video. With the first pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Victor Wembanyama from Metropolitans 92 in France. This pick is a surprise to nobody, since Wembanyama, who's arguably the greatest draft prospect ever and just officially declared for the draft, has continued to turn heads as the season progressed. His combination of size, scoring prowess, and defensive ability is unlike anything we've ever seen. Wembanyama's scoring options are endless, and he can score on all three levels in a variety of ways. He has the ability to shoot every shot in the book, including transition threes, step-back threes, mid-ranges, post fadeaways, and more. Victor also has a special ability to keep the ball in a string in tight spaces, which is unheard of for a player who's 7'4". Victor's defensive ability is probably what intrigues the scouts the most, since he can guard positions 1 through 5 and protect the rim against anybody, regardless of their size, which he's already shown at the pro level. Pairing Wembanyama with Cade Cunningham would be a match made in heaven for the Pistons, and could be the difference in them making the playoffs as soon as next year. Victor has already received praise from every one of the best NBA players, who are aware of his beyond transcendent talent. Overall, there's no way Victor drops out of that number 1 spot, and any team that lands that pick will be jumping for joy. With the second pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Scoot Henderson from the NBA G League Ignite. While this may seem like an obvious choice at number 2, it wasn't. Although Scoot's scoring and athletic ability have been on display in the G League throughout the past 2 seasons, and being the youngest player in the G League, his regression as the season went on was evident, and his decision-making ability definitely raised some questions as he is a 6'2" guard. Henderson also hasn't shown the same motor he did earlier this season, and especially last season, but that could solely be due to his injury that sidelined him for most of the season. Nevertheless, Scoot shut it down early, and that'll give him more time to rest from his injuries, and his skills, intangibles, and athletic traits are still there, and all the things that made scouts believe he could go number 1 in any draft besides this one are also still there. I'm a firm believer that whoever gets selected with the second pick will be based on team needs, and with the Rockets having the second pick, this one takes some thought, but ultimately pairing up Jalen Green in the backcourt with Scoot Henderson would make for one of the most electrifying backcourts in the NBA, and could definitely cause havoc among competitors. And considering the Rockets are in desperate need of a point guard, Scoot seems like a great choice at number 2. With the third pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller from the University of Alabama. Miller could have very well been selected with the second pick in the draft, being that he was undoubtedly the best freshman in college basketball this year. Miller averaged 19 points and 8 rebounds a game for a loaded Alabama squad consisting of multiple NBA players. Miller's combination of size and scoring ability is extremely unique, which is why a lot of scouts compare him to Paul George. Miller has a silky smooth handle that he uses to create space for jumpers or just get him to the rim. On top of this, Miller possesses great strength and displayed surprising athleticism when getting downhill this season. Usually, players who have similar playing styles to Miller are low percentage shooters, but that just wasn't the case for Brandon, who shot efficiently this season, which is probably my favorite thing about him. Usually every year, we see one freshman in college basketball who just looks like a pro. We saw it in Zion Williamson, somewhat in Anthony Edwards, then Cade Cunningham, and last year in Paolo Banchero, and this year, it was Brandon Miller by far. He has legit all-star potential and could be a game changer for whoever lands him. In this case, with the Hornets, not only do they take the best player on the board, but they also fill their biggest hole at the small forward spot. And pairing up LaMelo Ball with a guy who could legitimately score 20 points a game next season can help change the culture for the Charlotte Hornets. With the fourth pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs selected Men Thompson from Overtime Elite. Thompson finished his OTE career strong by helping lead his City Reapers squad to a championship. Obviously, Thompson is oozing with upside, and his athletic traits are like no other in this draft class. He jumps out the gym and has an elite first step with sheer quickness. Thompson has legit all-NBA defensive team potential with his lateral quickness and the ground he can cover. Despite being a 6'7" point guard, Amen's defensive abilities are not only on the perimeter, but he can also impact down low and block shots with his insanely high vertical jump. Offensively, Thompson knows how to get to the rack and can handle the ball, but that's about it. Amen is also a very good playmaker with an extremely high IQ for the game. He isn't the best shot creator or shot maker. That's why the Spurs drafting him seems like a great fit. Spurs know how to take toolsy prospects and develop them correctly, which would be great for Amen, who needs a little more time to develop than most players in his class. But years down the road, he does have the potential to be one of the best players selected in this loaded draft class. With the 5th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Portland Trail Blazers select Ausar Thompson from Overtime Elite. Similar to his twin brother Amen, Ausar has all the same athletic traits as his brother. Ausar can run, jump, and play defense just like him. Although Ausar doesn't possess the same playmaking abilities as Amen, he's improving on that end of the floor rapidly. On top of this, he's a much better shooter and shot creator, which was always understood by everybody. But he really showed it in the Overtime Elite playoffs, where he averaged 21 points and 5 assists per game, off 39% shooting from beyond the arc. With Mike Schmitz, who was the former head NBA draft analyst for ESPN, taking over as the assistant GM with the Trailblazers and head draft scout, he's shown he tends to favor the more upside-driven picks, and Thompson fits that mold perfectly. The 6th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, Indiana Pacers select Jarris Walker from the University of Houston. Walker had a great season for the Cougars, who are arguably the best team in college basketball. He was a key contributor who showed his ability to impact the game in multiple ways. The main intrigue with Walker is his defensive upside. Being a 6'8" forward with a 7'2" wingspan, he's athletic, strong, and moves very well, and can legitimately guard 1 through 5. He blocks shots down low and is strong enough to hold up in post-defense situations, and is fast enough to stay in front of some of the best guards in college basketball. Although his offensive game is a little more raw, he has shown drastic improvement this season by demonstrating that he doesn't just score the ball in the post, but he can also create shots for himself in the mid-range and spot up from 3 occasionally. Walker had one of the best showings in the NCAA tournament compared to any freshman this season, having multiple games showing his expanded offensive arsenal while also causing havoc on the defensive end. This pick makes a lot of sense for the Pacers because their major hole right now is at that 4 spot. Although Walker can play 3 through 5, his natural position is at the 4, and while he does need some time to develop his game, the Pacers are a young team that will embrace the fact he needs time to grow. With the 7th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Cam Whitmore from Villanova University. Although the Wildcats didn't make the NCAA tournament, Whitmore showed he was a lock to be a top 10 pick in his pro-ready game. Standing at 6'7" and 230 pounds, he's like a truck and jumps out the gym while moving really quick. His instincts are off the chart, and his defensive ability is one of the best in the whole draft class. Whitmore is by far the best motor in the draft class. Pairing that up with his gifts is a match made in heaven. Offensively, he's like a bull getting downhill to the rim, and doesn't just rely on his athleticism and strength, but has counters and moves to get in the paint. Cam also has shown improved ball handling ability and shot creation ability as the season progressed, which will be more of an improvement point once he gets to the NBA. To make matters even crazier, this is Cam's 3rd year playing organized basketball, being that he missed his first 2 years of high school due to injury, making his potential even bigger. For the past 5+ years, the Wizards have struggled to nail draft picks and haven't secured a rookie contract extension since John Wall, who was drafted in 2010. Whitmore seems like a good bet with the 7th pick, and a guy who will be an instant impact player from day one, but also has a lot of potential to improve more and end up being one of the better guys selected in this loaded class. With the 8th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Grady Dick from Kansas University. Grady had an excellent freshman campaign at Kansas, where he displayed his elite shooting ability, being the best shooter in this draft class, and shooting 40% from beyond the arc this season. Grady also has the ability to dribble, pull up for shots in the mid-range, and slash to the basket. He's shown that he's a capable defender, but that is an area that he needs to improve on. Another area he could improve on is his ball handling ability, but that's not as big of a concern, considering his job in the NBA will be to run off screens and get shots up. Another interesting thing about Grady is that he's a 6'8" shooting guard, so that size is something that will intrigue NBA scouts. The Magic have a clear hole at that shooting guard spot, and coincidentally also lack shooters, so bringing in a guy like Grady Dick would be a perfect pick for the Magic at 8. With the 9th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select Anthony Black from the University of Arkansas. 6'7" point guards with a high IQ and excellent defensive ability don't grow on trees, but there happens to be one available in this year's draft. Black was an absolute stud this year for Eric Musselman and the Arkansas Razorbacks, showcasing that he's a legit lottery talent. We often find ourselves referring to players as 6'7" point guards too much, but Black is a legit 6'7" point guard who has the ball in a string. He has a silky smooth handle and is very shifty. Black's basketball IQ and vision are off the charts, and he reads the floor better than most players in his class. He's excellent in the pick and roll and has the ability to make a handful of tough passes. Anthony also has the ability to play above the rim, and was surprisingly athletic this year for Arkansas. His defensive ability was also a shock to most, and is one of the better defensive guards in this draft. He also has a unique ability to play through contact and get to the rim despite him not being the biggest guy. Obviously, Ant isn't the best scorer and has a tough time shooting the ball, but with everything else he brings to the table, that shouldn't be a big concern, and it should improve over time. The Utah Jazz look like they're in for a multi-year rebuild, and taking a high-risk, high-reward guy like Anthony Black looks like it could work in their favor long-term. With the 10th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Taylor Hendricks from UCF. This is Hendricks' first time on any of my mock drafts, and he's definitely deserving of a top 10 pick this year. Hendricks is a versatile forward who could space the floor by knocking down threes, but is also agile like a gazelle and can grab rebounds and push the ball up the floor. He's a force in the paint and is very strong when finishing at the basket, and is also very athletic. Hendricks was a near 40% three-point shooter this year, which caught a lot of scouts by surprise. His defensive ability is also noteworthy, as he averaged nearly 2 blocks a game and can also guard the perimeter if needed. If the Mavericks land the 10th pick, it would be near perfect because the reason they couldn't make the playoffs this year was solely on their defense. Hendricks brings instant defensive versatility and will be provided an opportunity to start from day one for the Mavericks. On top of this, he can space the floor and provide a little extra offense for an already above average offensive team. Hendricks also has the potential to be even better than he was in his 1 year playing at UCF and be a game changer in Dallas. With the 11th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Nick Smith Jr. from the University of Arkansas. Prior to this college season, Nick Smith was seen as a potential top 3 pick in this draft. Smith struggled with injuries that sidelined him for the majority of this season, but we did get to see some flashes of him, and although he struggled in the beginning of the season, he got back into it as the season went on, displaying his coveted shot creation ability and ability to get into the paint and finish with floaters. However, when the NCAA tournament rolled around, Smith really struggled efficiency-wise, which was seen against A&M, where he went 6 for 20 from the field and 2 for 6 from 3. The same could be said in SEC tournament play. Smith still displayed the ability to get to his spots this past season, and it's still worth taking a risk in the lottery. The OKC Thunder would be a team willing to take that risk at potentially landing a top 3 talent with the 11th pick, considering the boatload of picks they have in the future. Smith could potentially play in a scary 3-guard lineup with Shea and Giddey, causing havoc on opposing defenses, but he may spend part of his rookie season in the G League to develop. Overall, the Thunder are in no rush to get their picks right, and taking Nick Smith if he falls to the 11th pick would be great for OKC. With the 12th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Cason Wallace from the University of Kentucky. Wallace looks like he's in line to be the next of many great Kentucky guards in the league, and uniquely, that all starts with his defensive ability. Wallace caused havoc all year on the defensive end, pressuring the best guards in college basketball and averaging 2 steals a game. On top of this, Wallace showed his solid playmaking ability and ability to create space with his handle. Although Cason wasn't the best shooter at Kentucky this year and was very streaky, he showed that he isn't a high-volume scorer, which is good, but in order to be on the floor, he must be a threat to score. This is something he must improve on, but he's very much capable of shooting spot-up threes. Wallace also knows how to get to the basket and finish with contact. With Fred VanVleet likely walking in free agency or being involved in a sign and trade, the Raptors will have a hole to fill at that lead guard spot, and that's where Cason Wallace can come in. He's a guy who's ready to contribute at the NBA level from day one, and really fits in well with the defensive-minded Raptors squad. With the 13th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic via the Chicago Bulls select Keontae George from Baylor University. George is a pro-level scorer who could legitimately score on all 3 levels. Although he came into the season scorching hot, he has slowed down quite a bit, and had a very underwhelming NCAA tournament run, to say the least. His inefficiencies were evident, and as the season ended, he really showed to be inconsistent, having similar performances to what we saw earlier in the season, and then underwhelming performances also. Despite this, George is still a highly coveted scorer, as 16 points a game as a freshman in a tough conference won't go unnoticed. At 13, the Magic will look to take the best prospect available, and that is Keontae George. He'll provide an instant offense to a Magic team lacking true scoring guards. I believe that if Keontae gets the right minutes and chance, he could potentially be a top 3 scorer amongst all rookies. With the 14th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Jordan Hawkins from the University of Connecticut, national champion himself. If there was one player whose stock rose the most in the NCAA tournament, it's Hawkins. The sophomore guard is an elite scorer and probably has the smoothest shot in all of college basketball. He has deep range with a lightning quick release, which if he gets off, is likely going in. Hawkins is also lightning fast and extremely quick moving off screens into shots, and doesn't need many dribbles to score. Additionally, Hawkins is a good athlete who's an above average defender and a solid passer. Jordan's main intrigue to NBA scouts though is his scoring ability, and that's something he can bring to the Pelicans from day one. The Pelicans like to switch up and run multiple different lineups, and Hawkins can very well see himself in starting roles at times, or be a great microwave scorer off the bench for the Pelicans, which they really needed at times this past season. With the 15th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Bryce Sensabaugh from Ohio State University. Sensabaugh is a certified bucket getter at 6'6", 235 pounds, making him a big guard who could score the ball in a multitude of ways. He's not the most agile or quick athlete, but he has a lot of power and uses it to his advantage while driving downhill. and he can also score while using his back to the basket arsenal. Bryce also has a solid handle and has the ability to break defenders down one-on-one. He's also a lights-out shooter who shot 41% from beyond the arc this year. There are concerns about Sensabaug's defensive abilities and how he can impact the game on that end of the floor, but that shouldn't be that big of a concern. The Hawks could definitely use some more scoring help, and Bryce could do just that, providing elite isolation scoring for Atlanta. With the 16th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz via the Minnesota Timberwolves select Jalen Hood-Schifino from Indiana University. The Big Ten Freshman of the Year came as a surprise to most, playing a big-time role for the Hoosiers this year, and showing a solid foundation of what his game will look like in the pros. Jalen is a 6'6", 215-pound combo guard who has great playmaking skills and showed he could defend positions 1 through 3. Jalen displayed his ability to get to his spots and score on all 3 levels. While the 3-point shot does remain a weakness, he definitely shocked most this year by showing he has the potential to be a good shooter in the NBA. Hood-Schifino is an upside pick with a solid foundation for what he can already bring to the NBA, and he seems like a perfect prototypical prospect for the Utah Jazz. With the 17th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Jet Howard from the University of Michigan. If there's one thing the Lakers need, it's shooters, and Howard is just that. As a 6'8" guard, he provides elite shooting and has a little wiggle to his game. Jet has shown his potential as a shot creator off the dribble, but despite this, doesn't need many dribbles to get hot. He has the ability to get downhill and finish at the cup. Although Jet isn't the best defender, he has massive defensive upside with his size, strength, and the way he moves at 6'8" as a guard. Howard is a high IQ and unselfish player who knows how to make the right plays. As you can tell, he's a perfect fit with the Lakers, who could be used as a guy that can space the floor and run off the screens for shots. That being said, Jet landing with the Lakers at 17 sounds like a match made in heaven for both sides. With the 18th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Miami Heat select Kobe Buffkin from the University of Michigan. Buffkin was one of the biggest risers in the second half of the season, after displaying not only that he has legit potential as a 3-way scorer, but can also do so in an efficient manner. Buffkin's 3-point efficiency improved by 14% from the last season, while his field goal percentage improved by 10%. Kobe has a lot of wiggle to his game, and knows how to create shots for himself on all 3 levels in a multitude of ways. He's a dog on the defensive end, and plays with 110% energy at all times. When looking at his playstyle or just this analysis, you would think he's an undersized guard, but he's actually 6'4". Buffkin has a lot of shades of former Wolverine Jordan Poole, for all the right reasons. Being that Buffkin is extremely young for a sophomore, I mocked him as a top 10 pick in my 2024 mock draft, but he's shown that he's ready for the next level now, and believes so himself by declaring for the draft officially. The Heat could definitely use some more scorers who could play defense, and Buffkin is just that. Whether it be off the bench or in a starting role, Kobe will embrace whatever role is given to him and play it in the best of his ability. With the 19th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets via the Los Angeles Clippers select Leonard Miller from the NBA G League Ignite. Miller is the ultimate upside pick, standing at 6'10", he moves like a 6-foot guard and has excellent footwork on the perimeter on defense. He also knows when to pick his opponent's pockets. Leonard can jump out the gym and has freakish athleticism. Additionally, Miller has a unique ability to handle the ball, and like a gazelle, he can get downhill in the transition, but he can also get to the basket in the half court as well. Miller's decision making was a concern last year, and although he's improved on that end, one thing he hasn't improved on is his shooting. His mechanics aren't good, and he only shot 32% from beyond the arc this year for the G League Ignite. Leonard definitely has potential as a shooter, but he's far away from making an impact there. His impact for the Rockets will come on defense, and his versatility on that end is off the charts. With the ability to guard positions 1 through 5, the Rockets could desperately use someone of his talent. On top of this, he's still a project player, and being in Houston, he's in no rush to develop his game right away. With the 20th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Dariq Whitehead from Duke University. Formerly a projected top 5 pick, Whitehead suffered some major injuries that sidelined him for the beginning of Duke's season. When he returned, the slashing and athletic abilities he showcased in high school were nowhere to be seen. However, coming out of high school, his shooting ability wasn't one of the best skills. Fast forward to now, he's seen as one of the best shooters in the draft, having just shot 43% from 3. He's gone through a very similar sequence as former Blue Devil AJ Griffin, except I think that if Dariq Whitehead gets drafted to a team like the Warriors, he'll be in no rush to play right away. He'll have all the time he needs to heal, which won't be a detriment to him at all, because he is the second youngest player in the draft class. A fully healed Dariq Whitehead could result in the athletic traits we saw in high school that could potentially turn him into one of the biggest steals in this draft. Whitehead's fit with the Warriors is perfect, being that he's developed an ability to come off screens and shoot at a high clip. He also has good ball handling and driving ability, making him even more versatile. If he develops properly, he can be one of the biggest steals in this draft. With the 21st pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Chris Murray from Iowa University. Chris, who is Keegan Murray's twin brother, had a breakout season this year, averaging nearly 11 more points than he did last season. Chris brings a lot of the same things that Keegan brings offensively. Standing at 6'8" and 225 pounds, Murray projects as a versatile 3-and-D forward who can make an instant impact for an NBA team right away. He's a great complementary role player who doesn't need many shots or dribbles to make an impact, which he really showed last year, but if needed, he can be a big-time scorer. One concern though is at the start of the NBA season, Chris will be 23, but although his ceiling isn't as high as his brother's was, he can still be one of the more consistent and efficient rookies. Murray brings an instant impact for a Brooklyn Nets team that thrives off 3-and-D role players. If Chris gets drafted to the right team, he has the chance to be one of the best rookies next year, and being on the Nets would give him that opportunity. With the 22nd pick in the 2023 NBA draft via the New York Knicks, select Derek Lively from Duke University. Coming into the college basketball season, Lively was a projected top 5 pick in this year's NBA draft, and he was the #1 player in the country coming out of high school. Lively battled some early season injuries that really limited his production. He really struggled to make an impact early on this season scoring the ball, and the shooting potential we saw during his high school career was nowhere to be seen. But as the season progressed, so did his game, and he got more comfortable in the college setting. Lively really shined on the defensive end, posting 6 rebounds in the NCAA tournament against Oral Roberts, and an insane 8 blocks against Duke's rival UNC. Lively also showed progression as a rebounder, and an overall presence in the paint. He moves very well for his size, and is very athletic, but being that he had a season-high 13 points is really concerning for scouts. Lively is a project player and will need time to develop. Getting drafted by the Trailblazers will enable him to do just that. For his first couple of years, Lively will likely play in the G League, developing, while Damian finishes his first few years in Portland. But after, the Blazers are looking to start a full fresh rebuild, and will have an open spot at center that will allow Lively to get proper reps he needs to develop into the player scouts thought he could be at coming out of high school. With the 23rd pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Maxwell Lewis from Pepperdine University. You can never have enough scorers on your team, and Lewis is one of the best pure scorers in this draft. At 6'7" and 200 pounds, he's a prototypical NBA wing who has limitless scoring options. His best strength is creating shots off the dribble in the mid-range and has a variety of moves and good change of pace to get separation against anybody. Lewis has shown on multiple occasions that he has the ability to hit tough shots, especially in the mid-range. He has a smooth and shifty handle which he can use to maneuver around the court and get past defenders into the rim. When you pair his advanced toolbox with his size, he has all the makings of a pro. Lewis has already shown some playmaking flashes and has the potential to be a good defender, but he isn't that good on that end of the floor yet. The real question with Max though is his consistency and impact to winning games. As the season went on, Lewis had some inconsistent performances, and despite playing at a mid-major school, Pepperdine had a really hard time winning games. It makes sense for the Kings to take a swing on him, because they do have quite a hole at that backup forward spot, and could use a guy who could score the ball like Lewis can. He will likely spend some time in the G League developing for the first few months of his career, but he can turn out to be a big steal for the Kings if he pans out right. With the 24th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets via the Phoenix Suns select Rayon Rupert from France. Rupert is a project player who has big boom or bust potential, but as of now, he projects as a 3-and-D wing standing at 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan. Rupert has all the tools to be a great defender in the NBA. Not only does he have the potential, but he's shown that he's a great defender during his time with the New Zealand Breakers. He has great lateral agility, moves lightly off his feet, and has great defensive IQ and instincts, allowing him to get easy deflections and steals. Although Rupert isn't the most polished player offensively, he has shown promise as a ball handler and playmaker. He has a good IQ and feel for the game, and has a nice touch while driving to the rim. He isn't the most efficient shooter though, but he has the mechanics and will improve over time on that end. Like Chris Murray, he fits the 3-and-D system the Nets are building on, and can make an immediate impact on the defensive end, and look to improve his offensive game as a two-way player in the G League and the Nets main roster. With the 25th pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Indiana Pacers via the Cleveland Cavaliers select G.G. Jackson from the University of South Carolina. A lot of Jackson's stock dropping has to do with teams selecting in the 20s and how he fits with them, which is a huge question when evaluating Jackson. Although he has shown tremendous upside as a 6'9" athletic versatile forward who can score from all 3 levels and handle the ball, he does it in a way where he needs the ball most of the time. GG isn't a good off-ball player and seems pretty lost whenever he doesn't have the ball. Jackson's attitude has also been a red flag, and had multiple instances when he complained publicly about not getting the ball, or when situations just didn't go right. To make matters worse, he's been scoring the ball at a very inefficient rate when he does get the touches he wants, which raises even more concerns. But despite this, Jackson is an extremely high upside pick who, prior to reclassifying up to play college basketball a year early, was the #1 recruit in the country for his class. Jackson is also the youngest player in the draft, who won't be 19 until late December. Over the next few months, GG has a huge chance to make or break his draft stock with the NBA Draft Combine and interviews. The Pacers will still probably be rebuilding for the next couple of years, and GG fits with the team's timeline as well. Jackson is a good risk for them to take, and give him time to try and develop him into the player most people think he has the potential to be. With the 26th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, select Colby Jones from Xavier University. Colby is an extremely solid prospect who has good size for a wing at 6'6" and 205 pounds, and also has good athleticism. Jones is a very efficient player who improved his percentages tremendously this year, shooting 51% from the field and 38% from 3. Despite this, he still did show some inconsistencies from 3 and can improve his perimeter shooting. Jones impacts the game across the board and is a guy who averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and nearly 2 steals a game. He isn't the best creator off the dribble, or a guy you would want with the ball in his hands, but he makes up for that by playing well off the ball, by spacing the floor and moving without the ball. Colby makes winning plays and has a high IQ and has potential as a defender. With Dillon Brooks now being off the Grizzlies, if they have a shot at landing him, his role will be carved out and he can make an instant impact from day one as a versatile wing off the bench, which they need. Colby wouldn't be a guy who scores the ball a bunch and makes a lot of flashy plays, but he would definitely contribute to winning in multiple facets of the game. With the 27th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets via the Denver Nuggets select Julian Strawther from Gonzaga University. Like Jones, Strawther is a prototypical NBA wing at 6'7" and 205 pounds. He's also shown that he can play as an off-ball guard when needed. Strawther is a very efficient player, having shot 47% from the field and 41% from three-point range this past season. On the defensive end, Julian is a menace with elite quick defense, covering a lot of ground laterally. What makes Julian such a good pick is his efficiency when scoring the ball. He doesn't take many off the dribble shots and knows how to move off the ball and get great shots. He also understands his role on the team and knows how to impact it in whatever capacity the team needs. Strawther isn't a guy you would necessarily want handling the ball or creating for himself, but he can do that if needed. As the Hornets pick in later parts of the draft, they should start to fill out their roster with young players who are efficient and effective in their execution on the court, which can help build a strong team for years to come, and Julian Strawther is a great pick in that regard. With the 28th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz via the Philadelphia 76ers select Sidi Sissoko from the NBA G League Ignite. The 6'8" guard is oozing with potential as one of the youngest players in the draft and is a solid 2 guard. Although he isn't the most polished player offensively and has ways to go with his jump shot, Sissoko is an elite defender who will make an instant impact from day one. Sidi also has a unique ability to get to the rim for finishes, using his strength to gain advantage over defenders and dunk on anybody. When given the opportunity, Sidi showed major flashes as a lead guard, but he also thrived playing off the ball to Scoot Henderson, where he found a ton of easy looks to score with his ability to move without the ball. Sissoko is a project player who will likely need multiple years to develop his jumper and ball handling ability to reach his full potential. However, as the Jazz are entering a rebuild, he will not be in any rush to produce offensively from day one. With the 29th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Indiana Pacers via the Boston Celtics select Noah Clowney from the University of Alabama. Clowney shocked many people this year as a freshman under Nate Oates, making an immediate impact on winning. He's a versatile player with exceptional mobility and agility for his size. Standing at 6'10", he's a player who's an upside pick, but his impact right now is scoring inside the paint at an efficient clip with a nice touch around the rim and rebounding the ball. His upside is based on his potential as a floor spacer. Although Clowney doesn't shoot the ball at a high clip, he has good mechanics and has all the tools necessary to become a good shooter down the line. This is another pick for Indiana based on upside. After taking GG Jackson, one can argue they should look for a player who can make an immediate impact, but I think that passing up on Noah Clowney would be a mistake down the line. He may need multiple years to develop his game, but if it all works out for him, he can become a versatile player who can play 3 through 5 and make a big time impact for the Pacers, while showing some flashes in the paint to a guy like Nick Claxton. Finally, with the 30th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers via the Milwaukee Bucks select Trayce Jackson-Davis from Indiana University. Although Davis isn't a modern day big man, and he's one of the older prospects in the draft, he's a guy who can make an immediate impact in the NBA. Standing at 6'9" and 250 pounds, he's one of the strongest players available. Davis is very efficient in the paint and shot over 50% from the field while averaging 21 points and 11 rebounds a game. He's also a solid defender, but besides his shooting on the next level, the main concern is what his position would be in the NBA. He isn't the tallest player and would likely be used in small ball lineups. This is a guy who could be drafted as high as here or at the middle of the second round. This pick makes a lot of sense for the Clippers, since they're a team that's trying to compete right now, and Trayce is a player who not only fills one of their holes as a backup big, but can also contribute immediately after solidifying himself as one of the best players in all of college basketball last season. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end and you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Check the link in my my pinned comment or description and check out the Fanatics store link for some exclusive deals on NBA gear before they expire, and to help support the channel. Comment on what you think about the grades I gave to each of the 30 draft picks. Let's get a great basketball conversation started. I'll see you guys on the next video and have a blessed day. Peace.